What is up, guys? Dragonball Black here, and today I wanted to go ahead and give you guys a brand new system for measuring the strength of the characters from Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball itself. And this is a work in progress. It's something that I completely made up. It's nothing that's official. I thought it'd be a fun way to be able to determine some of these guys' power. Now, I had some semblance of the system in place, but I didn't have the final step. Once Goku got shot in a canon episode of Dragon Ball Super, I had what I needed, essentially, to kind of round off exactly what I want from this system. And I know what's going on around the community right now is that a lot of people are saying that, he got shot just to move the plot along. Basically a plot hole, a plot inconsistency. Essentially it's so he can, push for the tournament. And you're right. You're absolutely right. That's exactly the outcome of what happened after he got shot and he got wounded. But I think there's more to this, and I think Akira Toriyama is one of those, especially since the debacle that was Dragon Ball Evolution. In some of the interviews he said he's been choosing his works very, very particular, and it was even until Battle of Gods where he was still choosing work particular for Dragon Ball. He didn't even want to really touch it because of what happened to Dragon Ball Evolution. And so I don't think that Akira Toriyama is one of those guys that just would throw things in place for the most part without having something that's gonna fall back on later on, or something that's gonna come up again, or just have no purpose at all, really. And a lot of people are saying, what are you talking about? Akira Toriyama does inconsistencies all the time. Yeah, he does, but he's also been working in Dragon Ball for the past 20-some years, and he took hiatuses too, and he's not even 20, probably over 20 years. So for him, inconsistencies are going to pop up, but at the same time, especially for right now in Dragon Ball Super, I don't think that there's really anything that he's throwing in there that's going to be something that's going to be like, oh, just gloss over it and keep going, as like Goku getting shot. For me, that's something that he chose to put in there because he's trying to give us he's trying to push the plot along, of course, but he's trying to give us a semblance of just kind of an inkling of what is going to happen in the future, but also trying to let us know that there is more to how we grade these guys on their power alone. And for the longest time, I've been saying that we've been grading the Dragon Ball characters too high. We've been hyping them up too high because of the feats that they can do. At least the Z fighters. And we forget that they are still mortal. And there's probably more that goes behind the scenes that Akira Toriyama has never really shown. He's rarely shown how anything really works in Dragon Ball. It's not like, Hunter x Hunter or Naruto, where they tell you everything, how this works, how that works right off the bat. So Akira Toriyama has not done that, and that's the reason that it's up to us to kind of figure out what is going on. And I've come up with a new system, as I've said before. Basically I've been using power levels, but I'm going to be calling this system power classes because it's a class system. I'm going to be trying to harken back to something that Dragon Ball had for the Saiyans: low class Saiyans, high class Saiyans, elite class Saiyans, and that's the kind of system that I'm going to be setting up. And that way we can gauge how powerful these characters are, because I don't want to keep. I've always been a realist for these characters, and I knew that they aren't unbreakable for the most part. Not all of them. I mean, yeah, you have your Beerus's and your Whis and your Zamasu, merged Zamazus, but in the midst of all that, you have Krillin's. We got we got Yamchas, we got Tien's. Now we have Goku's. That are more vulnerable to certain things. And like this overhyping that I've stated before, I blame this on. I don't blame it on us because we're passionate about Dragon Ball. We love Dragon Ball Z. We love Dragon Ball Super. I blame it more on Screw Attack and matching up Goku against freaking Superman. That's probably when this overhyping kind of started, or really gathered steam full force. But anyway, let's go into this power classing system that I've created to kind of measure with some sort of science on how strong these characters are. I believe, in my opinion, this is not 100% done. I want this to be sort of like a community thing where you guys give me some tips. I already got some great tips on the Amino app about this because I posted on this on the Amino app, but I've got a lot of people telling me different things about, the way, just different ways of doing it. And I think that this system is better than power multipliers. It's better than power scaling. It's just in comparison, it's just more accurate, I think, in my opinion. But again, it's just my opinion, and there is something in here that's something that I've sought, that I found in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super episodes in certain cases. That's the reason I'm bringing this up. Without this, really, the rest of the system really isn't as strong as it should be. But I'm pretty confident that this is a thing in Dragon Ball, even though it has really never been mentioned. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in. So essentially, there are 4 levels or pillars to this system: durability, raw power, key reserves, and aura shielding. Now, you guys are probably wondering, okay, so what does all this mean? Essentially, like I said, the 4 pillars are meant to measure what the characters are, what they are at whatever state that you're trying to measure them at, and you have to be very specific. So if you're looking for Goku when he first got back to Earth after he was on Namek and he just learned the instant transmission, he went to Super Saiyan and he had this little bout with Trunks. If you want to measure that Goku, you have to measure everything from that Goku and underneath that Goku. So that's what you would measure it by, everything that's happened to him up to that point. And then you can't measure from anything that happened after that. That's just an example. So for all 4 of these pillars, you have to use the characters, as I said, history. You have to use their feats. You have to use what kind of information that is canon that we have on how strong certain transformations are, certain characters are at certain points, certain fusions are, things like that. I think this it brings in multipliers in a sense, and even comparisons, and all that. It brings all that in a sense to kind of make more of a scientific way to kind of measure these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with durability, and for this, I'm going to go ahead and give you exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this is how tough and strong a character's body is. How strong and durable your body is a reflection on your species, environment, training, what you're made out of, or if you're a deity. So this is what I wrote down. I've written down these notes, and so that's exactly what it means. It means how tough your body can be at certain points or at base point. So you can increase your durability, the strength of your body, and I'm saying you as if you were a character in this universe, as like whatever character you're choosing. You can increase by many ways that are from Dragon Ball canon. But the most common way is training. Physical training is what we see these characters do a lot. What the Piccolo argument says that Piccolo does a lot. So that's how you make your body a lot stronger. This would coincide with Goku getting shot by the bullet, saying that he hadn't been training for a while, and he got like a little scruff on his arm. As a kid in Dragon Ball, Goku also got shot by bullets, but it didn't penetrate his skin, he didn't kill him, and he was fine. This durability can also be a reflection of what species you are. Obviously, if you're human, you can up your durability, but for the most part, you have a base durability that is slightly weaker or majorly weaker than most of the other races. If you're a Saiyan, your durability goes up higher. Again, that's why in Dragon Ball, Goku gets shot and doesn't die. He gets shot in this Dragon Ball Super, he doesn't die. He gets hit by that rock, it still hits him and hurts him. He had his guard down. But that's what his durability is. You have to take everything into account with how strong these characters are, and this is where people might lose a couple of you guys. But stick around for the 4th pillar, because you might be thinking, no, because they can do this and they can do that, and they can take a punch from Super Saiyan God, and they can take a punch from Beerus and blah 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 and this and that. I'm getting to that. Durability is just your body at base, at normal, with nothing else added on top of it. And there is something that I think that Dragon Ball characters have on top of their durability that makes them stronger. And it's not it's not even mentioned really in the manga or the anime, but it's something that it's almost like you can see it in certain instances. And and that's why this is just a work in progress, guys. So please don't give me so much hate over this video, but this durability pillar is one of the strongest things that you can base your characters on. The next thing is raw power. And for this, raw power is how strong your raw energy is, the energy that comes from your character, how devastating it can be. Now, the best measure that I have for raw power is Frieza. He's a great measure because of his species and the level of ferociousness that his energy can inflict on certain things, certain characters. I would say some of the most ferocious energy that we have in Dragon Ball comes mainly from the villain side. Vegeta had ferocious energy, devastating energy. Frieza's race seems to have such devastating quantities of energy. Then we have Buu, Majin Buu. Normally, it goes hand in hand. There isn't really like a level where you have this raw, unabiding power, but you don't have that much of it. Normally you have a lot of it because you end up being a villain. Now, there are some cases where you're a hero character in Dragon Ball, like a Z fighter, and you have raw, unbridled energy, but your ki reserves are limited. That's how it coincides with the next pillar. So one example of this, and this is just my opinion, but Goku, when he was facing Vegeta, he had raw, devastating power through his Kamehameha blast. It bounced back a Gallic gun. Using the Kaioken, he used the technique to increase the rawness of his power, but also increasing his durability. It also increased his senses, his attack power, increased other stuff. But that all that stuff falls into physical fighting techniques, stuff like that, speed. I would just lump that in with durability and your body and how good your body is. Honestly, I don't have a pillar for that, but again, this is just a work in progress, so it's not 100% like this isn't the word of God, okay? And so I say you could increase your keys, your raw power through training, specific training, or just I would say more specific training than anything. Powering up, fusion, transformations, or absorptions. Those are the kind of things that can really increase the devastating nature of your power. It's what makes it so when Vegeta touches I forget the name of the Majin throwaway henchman, that when he touches him and he lunges at him really quick and touches his chest and blows him away into pieces, that devastating, not bridled with this the henchman character's durability, how weak it is, and Vegeta's raw power, devastating raw power with his energy attacks, completely vaporizes his character. And that's what vaporizes all the people in, like, say, Majin Vegeta destroying the stadium. That's what vaporizes all those people as well, because of the raw power and the low durability of the regular humans, as well as them not having aura shielding. And so that brings me closer to aura shielding, which I really am excited to tell you guys about. But let's go ahead and go to ki reserves. And that is how much ki you can spend. How much of it you can use in attacks, how much of it you have left over. In Dragon Ball Super, especially against the fight of Zamasu, you can see that the characters were going to their breaking limit, using up as much ki as possible. They couldn't even use the ki to transform when Zamasu turned into the world. Only Trunks could transform into Super Saiyan. So the ki reserves really tie into your transformations. It ties into how much power you can do in attacks, how much you can amplify your own attacks, your own physical attacks, and your own speed and all that. So normally this can be regulated through powering up your ki reserves, but you need a lot of ki to do certain things, such as destroying a planet. Now Frieza, again, is a good example of how much power this character can yield. Frieza had at 100% power He obviously bulked up. I'm not going to go ahead and touch the bulking up part because I haven't really thought about it yet, adding it to the system. But at 10% he was fighting regular Goku. At 50% he was fighting Super Saiyan Goku. At 100% he was still fighting Super Saiyan Goku, but at that point his power was draining because his ki reserves were leaving him. Just like when he was in his golden Frieza state, his ki reserves were leaving him once he pushed that transformation to its limit. And just to further along here, aura shielding. Now, aura shielding is the thing that I'm most excited to talk to you guys about. I propose, this is not set in stone, this is not something that you should take, you should probably take this with a grain of salt, because you're going to have to do your own research on this and kind of look into it yourself, or just discredit it. It depends what you want to do with it. But each character consciously turns this on with a few exceptions. Some characters always have it on, some characters don't have it at all. If you don't know about ki, then you probably don't have it on. If you do know about ki, then you'll have it on. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. If you get knocked out, it gets turned off. Some characters always have it on. I would say some of the more villainous characters probably always have it on. You can see this aura shielding normally only when a character is caught off guard, because there is no record of it being explained in Dragon Ball Super Z or Dragon Ball from what I can think of. Now, this aura shielding is a similar concept to, if you guys have seen Hunter x Hunter, the way they use Nen, they amplify and then they harden their own bodies. They have a thin veil of Nen that you can see around their bodies, the outline of their bodies. It makes them stronger, faster, and it makes them more durable to attacks, so they won't get as hurt by it. I took this concept and put it into Dragon Ball Z, Super GT, and regular Dragon Ball, and say that most characters consciously turn on this thin veil to be able to absorb attacks that normally would destroy characters. So one way of having this is that we've had instances in the show, from what I can think of, from what I can remember, that bullets bounce off certain characters. Then we have Goku getting shot, but he had his guard down, and he got shot and he got a little bruised. So his durability still helped him out with it. I mean, if he would have trained his body more, if he had been training, it probably wouldn't have left a mark. It probably would have bounced up, because Goku is a top tier character, the top class character. I would venture to guess. I haven't done his stats yet, but his aura shielding also helped by bouncing that stuff off. Without it on, because he didn't either think he needed it on because he was fighting these human characters and he doesn't think that they're a threat, or he just turned it off because he thought they were all down, he got hurt by the bullet. One of the most famous cases that I can venture to push for this is that Gohan versus Cell. So Gohan wipes the floor with Cell. Perfect Cell comes back, kills Trunks. Vegeta attacks him. Perfect Cell bitch slaps Vegeta. Vegeta goes flying on the ground. Vegeta, I would say, didn't probably had his aura shielding on, but he was just so much. Cell was so much stronger. He essentially slapped him out of it. He slapped him out back into base form. He was basically knocked out. So Cell went to destroy him. Essentially, he shot an attack. So Gohan saw this and jumped in to take it for him. So I got two things for this. First, if these characters were, as some people have stated, that they are as strong as some of these planets that they can easily destroy, or these moons that they can easily destroy, then there's no need really, essentially, for Gohan to jump in and block this attack, because it'll incinerate. It won't incinerate Vegeta. It might hurt him more, but it won't incinerate him because he's that strong naturally without anything else. I don't think that's the case. I think that Gohan knows that his shielding, aura shielding, I might come up with a better name for it, but that veil of what protects your body essentially was gone. He was basically knocked out. So that attack, even though his body is extremely strong at that point, extremely durable against a cell-powered super cell, I guess you would call him, super perfect cell powered attack, it would have completely obliterated Vegeta. Gohan in a split second had to jump in, but I would venture to guess that he didn't think, because he's not 100% seasoned fighter yet, he wouldn't think of putting on his aura shielding. Even his father forgets to put it on sometimes. So he didn't turn it on. And I know it might sound stupid to you guys. Some of you guys might be like, turn it on, this jack off. What is he, like a fucking flashlight? Like, he didn't activate it. Watch Hunter x Hunter. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. And so he jumped in just at a spur of the moment to defend him. And that's why when he got hit by the attack, even though I would venture to guess that he is, because he does defeat Super Perfect Cell at the end, even though he had some help. So he is at least as strong, at least almost as strong as that. So the attack shouldn't have hurt him that much, but because he didn't have his aura shielding on, he had his guard completely off, he lost his arm to a cell attack, which frankly wasn't even that big or powerful looking. It just looked like a normal ass attack, but to an unconscious Vegeta, that would have been the death stroke. And that's what Gohan knew, and he jumped in. So that's kind of one of the big things that I can think of when it comes to having this aura shielding theory. But nevertheless, I feel comfortable enough with it, and it's fun to kind of throw it in there and see which situations they might have been on, they might have been off, you know, and how it kind of changes the way you see these characters and the way you measure how strong they are. So aura shielding, in my opinion, is staying in this theory or in this system. And so let's go ahead and get to the potatoes and gravy here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and measure a character. But first, let me tell you exactly the kind of measurements that I have, the scale that I have, essentially. So I did 1 through 10 because I think that is the easiest, the easiest kind of measurement to do. So 1 through 3 make you you're in low class. 4 to 6 puts you in high class. 7 to 9 puts you in elite class, and 10 I just have labeled deity. It's going to be very hard. Only certain characters can get to this. Anything past 10, you know, when it comes to averaging out these numbers, that is when we're going to be, you know, that's when it's going to be like, oh, they're much higher. But for right now, it's 1 through 10. And you measure each stat through 1 through 10, and then the final scale is 1 through 10 again. With the same thing, low class, high class, elite class, and deity. So you measure durability with this, raw power, key reserves, and aura shielding. And I did just that. So I decided to go ahead and pick a character that it would be the easiest, in my opinion, and I might change it later on, but it might be it's the easiest to kind of measure, in my opinion, and that's final form. We got to be specific now, and we got to think of all their feats up to that point. Final form Frieza on Namek, before he goes 100%, from the moment he turns final form up to the moment he goes 100%. That is the Frieza that I am basically focusing this on. And I know that at some point he says he's using 10% of his power, using 50% of his power. I know that. But again, that's what I have. So, okay, so that's what we're going to do. So when it comes to aura shielding, which is, I'm going to start with the last one first. I'm going to go ahead and give him 4 for aura shielding, and I'm going to put his durability at a 6. And you guys might be like, oh, what? That seems so high, so low. What is this crazy? Just hear me out, because that comfortably puts him in the high class. And remember, it's Frieza, and I have to measure every single character with this. So it's going to be Frieza in the Namek saga, at the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z. So essentially, so you know, you have to break some eggs here. So I wrote down, it's hard to find an instance where my theorized aura shielding is shown. The only thing I can go on is when he stopped Goku's Kamehameha. He underestimated him and so got injured on his hand. He also was blindsided by the Spirit Bomb, and even though he lived, he took extensive amounts of damage. And so, with that said, again, his species, it seems like his species has a strong body. So, with what I'm reading right now, so you guys have to bear with me. So, his species, the Frieza species, it seems like they're extremely durable. I'm just speaking of their body, not aura shielding or anything like that, and it's gonna be hard to figure out when that turns off, when that turns on. But it's safe to say that once you're almost dead, that aura shielding turns off. So a couple instances here, and I'm kind of be pushing forward a little bit, but again, I'm only focusing on Final Form Frieza Namek arc. So okay, so Frieza, his hand gets hurt because he stops the Kamehameha. It's safe to say that he underestimated Goku and he didn't have his aura shielding all the way up, and so he got his hand hurt by the Kamehameha. He didn't think that was going to be that strong. He got blindsided with a spirit bomb, so his aura shielding was not up. It could not protect him in time. He still lived because of how powerful and strong his species is, but he lost an eye, he got bruised up, he lost a piece of his tail. Planet Nam, he got cut in half. That's his body, that's past aura shielding. His body got cut in half, he was still alive. The planet exploded, he was still alive. Durability is going to be high. That's exactly what I got down here, and that's what I feel comfortable putting him at because of how strong his body is. And there are many instances that we've seen him take some punishment. He took punishment from Super Saiyan Goku. I would assume that he had still his aura shielding on. So he did take some punishment, but his body physically is so much more stronger than he needed his aura shielding to be. That would make sense why he really doesn't have it on, and he just turns it off because it's kind of a waste of energy. I mean, for a species that likes to conserve energy, that would be a waste of it. Now we're gonna go ahead and go into raw power and key reserves. Now I would put both of these high. I'm gonna go ahead and say I would give both of them 7s. Now he seems to have limitless and potent energy. We can get this from seeing his planet destroying technique. With himself badly hurt and most of his energy still hidden, he was able to form about a basketball-sized attack that would eventually claim Namek's life. We know that normally his planet-destroying attack is many times bigger and can destroy the planet in an instant. So this just shows how strong his energy is and how much of it he actually has. Now to push farther forward, we can also see this in the Golden Frieza arc. He essentially destroys Earth by touching it with his hands. He does his technique underneath the ground and destroys the planet that way. But at that point, he was completely defeated, basically essentially beaten. His power reserves to hold his Golden Frieza form had completely depleted, but he still had enough key reserves to destroy the entire planet. And I would argue that his raw power is just that strong that he could destroy the entire planet with such little energy. So with these type of things, I know I'm pushing forward. I'm only trying to see with Final Form Frieza from the currently right now. With these things, I would put his power, extremely high. So now we have our numbers, and I'm going to go ahead and get the average, and that's what I would put him on the scale. So the way we find out the average is 6 plus 4 plus 7 plus 7 equals 24. 24 divided by 4 equals 6. So he is comfortably at high class. He is a high-class warrior even at Final Form Frieza stage. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I feel really comfortable about putting him here. You guys might be arguing, well, what happens when he becomes Mecha Frieza? Well, when he becomes Mecha Frieza, I'm going to have to measure what happened when he was Mecha Frieza with these 4 pillars. What happens when he comes back as regular Frieza? And as Golden Frieza, then you measure it from the time that he comes back in his first form all the way to Golden Frieza. If you just want to measure Golden Frieza, then you just measure that transformation, how strong it is. But if you want to measure that Frieza that has that golden transformation in the Golden Frieza arc, then you have to measure him from the point that he enters the arc to the point that he ends the arc, and measure his feats and everything that he's done since then. Now you can about measure every character in this way. I'm going to go ahead and start doing this with how I scale the power levels thus far. But what I'm really wanted to get at is that the way you do this, making these characters larger than life is something that Akira Toriyama has done and that we've kind of held them up to because of the feats that they've committed. But I wanted to go ahead and have a realistic, kind of scientific almost way of measuring the guy's power. And it's much more, I think it's more complex than just being like, these are multipliers. This is how the comparison to this character, any other measurement that you can do that's just very, very simple kind of way to get to it. I feel like I'm comfortable with this. I think this is a good way to go. And this is what I feel the most comfortable with. Again, guys, I would like some feedback on this system. Please try not to be nasty. I put a lot of work into this. I mean, you're probably going to be nasty anyway, whether I say it or not. But, try not to be. I put a lot of work into this. I'm going to keep pushing on this. I'm going to keep trying to change little things and fix little things here and there and try to make this system better. Add kind of, you know, gauging what these characters' powers are, power class. I think this is the best way to do it, in my opinion. And I'll go ahead and go forward from here. But again, this is still a work in progress. Let me know anything that I can do to make it better. Any type of evidence that you want to go ahead and put up about why this character did this and why this character did that and this and that. Let me know in the comment section below, guys. Anything you can think of about that's focused on this subject in the comment section below. Drop me a like if you like this system, if you like, or if you just like my videos. It really helps out my channel a lot. I'm not a very big channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching. This is going to be Dragon Ball Black signing off.